So we've got about 20 minutes left in the show. Keith, you want to talk sports?
I'd love to. Leave this on as a little background music.
I don't know if we should wait for Chris to come back, but the big news is Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
Right? Oh.
No, the damned was not. I was actually looking for our regular sports music, but I don't know if I have it on here anymore.
Sports.
No, not our new regular sports music. Our old.
By the way, when I just stepped out of the
kites.
room, when I stepped out of the room, I just was thinking about things for a couple of minutes. Next week, bro, I'm totally beating you in Guitar Hero here.
Okay.
Have you been practicing?
Nice.
By the way, I won't be here next week.
I haven't played. What do you mean?
I won't be on the show. I'm working all weekend next week. Starting at 6 in the morning, Friday, pretty much through Sunday night.
It's also Thanksgiving.
Great.
The day after Thanksgiving.
You want to kill my cat while you're at it?
Done and done. Okay, so in sports news, aside from Barry Bonds, I love that Vito said you want to talk about sports, and I just turned this into like my bit.
Should there be anything aside from Barry Bonds right now?
That's what I was thinking of saying.
Well, there's the Stephon Marbury.
Starberry, bro.
Thank you.
Well, he's changing his name to Starberry because
so let's talk about Barry Bonds.
I guess we're speaking in riddles. Let's
talk about Barry Bonds.
I don't think he hit all those home runs. I think a lot of them were optical illusions.
I don't know why, if the court didn't have these papers 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, why he would even be considered. Why didn't they just come out with this when they first had? What did he do? Commit perjury? 3 years ago?
When he was questioned?
He perjured himself when he had to testify in front of the grand jury.
So I don't know why they didn't just come out with it before he even did all these home runs and to make it, null and void.
They would have had to start 20 years ago.
What do you mean, when he started doing roids?
Well, he only broke the all-time record this year.
That's what I mean.
Well, because they had to investigate further, too, because if you ask me something and I lie to you, you then have to investigate to see whether or not I lied, and that's what they did.
And it took them that long? It took them that 3, 4 years, 5 years?
I guess.
Wow.
I mean, the same way Jason Giambi, I usually have nothing nice to say about anyone slightly Yankee-related, but you got to give Jason Giambi a little bit of credit for being smart enough to say, well, now I'm talking to the federal government, so I need to tell them the truth. Whereas Barry Bonds is just obviously feels so invincible that he decided he didn't need to tell anyone anything.
I bet you if he punched the government, they would get knocked out with the size of his arms.
And everyone around him is going to jail. Everyone that sold it to him, everyone he knows, and
so now his ball will be in the Hall of Fame without his name, and he'll never be able to be in the Hall of Fame.
Is the asterisk on, or is it just going to have the word?
The asterisk.
Or is the word Balco just going to be written across
it? Actually says Balky.
Oh, Larry Appleton.
That's crazy.
Well, he has to be. Does he have to be convicted of a crime before he doesn't go into the Hall of Fame, or is it official? They don't want nothing to do with him.
Well, you know what? That's interesting because the Black Sox, the 1919 Chicago White Sox. I'll just turn it off. The Chicago White Sox that threw the series, they were never actually convicted of anything. All the charges were dropped, the criminal charges. But the thing that is, it didn't matter because they're still, like, Joe Jackson and Buck Weaver are still banned from the Hall of Fame.
That poor guy, he can never get a pair of shoes after that. It was a shame.
Exactly. But he did release a bunch of good new wave albums, though. So
Pete Rose in the Black Sox scandal.
Pete Rose was great. Didn't he root for them? He rooted for them. Pete Rose.
Yes.
He bet
against them.
There was a guy named, I think Kennesaw Mountain Landis was his name. That was when they first brought a commissioner into baseball because of that whole thing. And he was the guy that said, I don't care whether these guys were convicted or not. I still think they threw the World Series. So you don't necessarily have to be convicted. I think they could basically ban Barry Bonds from baseball. Although now it's different.
They're two entirely different things. One's a private institution. They can't legally tell you have to recognize someone in your private institution. Mm-hmm. That's crazy talk. The Baseball Hall of Fame is a private, personal thing. But whether someone believes someone did something or not shouldn't have anything to do with it. That's what I'll say. I think Barry Burns. I think George Burns deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I got no problem with him being in the Hall of Fame with disasters on it. I think he's garbage. I think the whole Hall of Fame is garbage. I think all Halls of Fame are garbage at this point.
Didn't Barry Bonds a couple of months ago say that he doesn't want to be in the Hall of Fame if it's going to have the asterisk on it?
Yeah, he was pretty mad about that.
Did he say
he also said
didn't want to be?
He said,
yeah, and you know what?
Said he wasn't going to show up to the whole process.
And you know what? As much as he's maligned the whole thing, I kind of, from that point, I kind of see where
does that mean he has cancer or he doesn't have it?
I kind of see where he's coming from. Like, if you feel the need to put this ball in the Hall of Fame with an asterisk, then don't put me in the Hall of Fame. Either I did it or I didn't, Like, so I kind of understand him being annoyed at that, but
he's playing the
part.
part.
I think he's far from the only guy that the only significant guy.
So what does that mean? Because he's in popular because there's a big company that he's with that means something. If you did it, you're a jerk. Whether there are lots of jerks doesn't make you less of a jerk. You know, that's
but I think,
you're here.
But I think when he says that, like, there's unfair, he's singled out. You're singled out.
He's not singled out.
You're
but there's
singled
been a lot
out
of
because
guys.
you set the home run record, because you were considered the greatest player in the game for years. That's why you're singled out.
White S. Brand is playing devil's advocate in the chat room.
Can I play?
Am I the only person in America that doesn't care if he took roids? I like hitters pounding home runs and pitchers being able to throw at 110 miles an hour. So what's the problem? What's the problem with taking steroids?
Because the concept of the game and the records that you're being judged against are based on you having an ability to do something now based on chemicals that guys at the origins of the game did not have the ability to do.
So maybe it's the Hall of Fame that's
It's changing. Well, it's not necessarily the Hall of Fame.
The concept of the Hall of Fame and records that's slowing down the progression of baseball. Maybe we should be allowing.
Well, the bottom line is you can't use an illegal substance.
The records. Well, the records are a different story. I have no problem. I swear to God, I have no problem if Barry Bonds goes into the Hall of Fame because you know what? He's a fantastic player. He's probably the best player that I've seen in my lifetime play. I mean, you know, I've seen Tom Seaver, so I've seen. I mean, I have seen some classics play, but he's one of the greatest of all time. And he does deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. I give him that. Whether his record should be judged on the same scale as Aaron's and as Ruth's before
or
that,
Roger Maris, as far as the Bonds and McGuire Sosa
yeah.
thing.
I don't think that that's fair. First of all, ballparks are getting smaller. Second of all, they're pumping something into them to make their arms bigger.
Not for nothing, there were 8 teams back then. So the majority of guys that pitch against these guys right now never would have made it anywhere near a major league ballpark without a ticket.
Major League, AAA, try.
Then when you say that, do you think Pete Rose should be inducted into the Hall of Fame?
Absolutely.
So do I.
I do too.
100%. Not even a question.
I think what Pete Rose did was less of an offense as what Barry
player,
Bonds did.
As a player, not as a manager.
Yes,
but as a
player.
And I guarantee you that Pete Rose will be in the Hall of Fame just after he dies. They're not going to give him the satisfaction in his lifetime to let him know. They will not let him come back to baseball. That's the only reason that they're not doing anything now, because they feel that it's compromising some sort of integrity if they let him come back to baseball now. And he has to be able to be he has to be in baseball to be able to be in the Hall of Fame.
And the problem with steroids in baseball is you can't tell a group of guys that are all competing for jobs. You can't tell one, well, you know what? If you want to compete with these guys, you need to break the law too. You need to, to put yourself in the line of fire against, like...
But let me put it in terms that Brian will understand. It's kind of like when we went to work, and we would work all the time, and you would have to do coke to work more, to make more money, to buy more coke.
The only reason why I did that is because everyone around me was doing coke.
Right, exactly.
I had to do it for everybody else.
Well, exactly. So
I wouldn't have done it if you guys weren't all coked up.
Exactly. But the whole point is Barry Bonds is a guy who's making you do coke.
So whatever. I mean, maybe the law is slowing down our company. If we were allowed to freewillingly do coke all the time.
What just happened? This just got really sexy.
If we were allowed to do coke all the time, perhaps we would have worked harder and stayed at work all the time. And,
Sometimes I tell the boys, Free Willy. They know what it means. I'm doing gay humor on Best in Show Radio.
Well, whatever. We're doing drug humor. It's the same thing, really.
Never shoot a guy.
Jesus.
So what else? What else sports you got? I thought it was the sports. What's going on?
Did
with
you have something on Barry
What's
Bonds?
going on with Starbase?
No, I didn't. But I do have something on the Ebbsfield United soccer team. Do you know who owns the Ebbsfield United soccer team?
Are they even in the Premier League, or have they been
they're
bumped
actually
down?
They
bumped down, right?
Yeah, they're down in like a
first.
It's called the football league.
It's like the first something is underneath the Premier.
Right, the one that
Is
can
this
make the
sports?
jump to the major league. That's the great thing about the English Premier League is that
The
like
last place team
a
drops
minor
to a
league team
league.
can jump into
And
like
the
the
first
next
place,
thing,
yeah.
which I think is cool. But
Yeah, it's I want to say it's the first division or something like that.
No, it's Premier League, League Championship, League 1, and League 2.
so they're in League 2, right?
They're trying to get into League 2. They're actually in
so they're even
in
lower.
the football conference.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so these are
who
really
owns them?
lower down. Okay.
Now, do you know what the interesting thing about their owner is?
He's not English.
They're owned by fans, so they might not be English. They're
Wow.
actually owned by a collective, an internet-based collective from 70 different countries. So I was wondering, like, if we could pool our money together, what team?
If we
could
could pool
buy?
our money together, we might be able to buy a gallon of milk.
I got $7.
All right, 2 gallons of milk.
Oh,
Then.
okay, great. I'm the
Oh,
only
where are
one.
you shopping? You know of a sale?